On this. Awesome. So now the session is recorded. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third iteration of Justin's Zoom sharing session. It's such an honor to have everyone here today. This is the third episode. I'm so excited, and we're talking entrepreneurship. So let me just introduce this session real quick. So Justin's Zoom sharing sessions are platforms where we exchange ideas, we share experiences, we share stories, and we share our feelings on certain topics. This session is very special because it blends elements of an informational presentation with an interview and also adds in a healthy dose of audience interaction. That's why you see people like Steven, Steve, Justin, and Ashley who are here because they are our audience. We will share information, we'll discuss, and we'll always ask our audience on their opinions. So today's topic is very special. We'll talk about entrepreneurship. I am your host, Justin Ng. I am currently a researcher at University Malaya doing dengue research, and I'm a prospective master's student who's going to engage in the world of epigenetics and genetics in future. So let's hear from our audience and special guest speakers as well. So let's introduce our speakers. In fact, let's get them to introduce themselves. So let's start with fellow Toastmaster and best friend, Adrian Gunn.
Thank you, Justin. So I'm honored to have this opportunity to share in this sharing session. So my name is Adrian, and I am a business owner. Currently, owning a mobile point of sale system. So what we do is we provide a system where you can see in the restaurants, food trucks, or even retail shops. So yeah, that's basically what I do. And let me pass to my friend and also mentor, Karl, to introduce himself.
My name is Karl. So 我怀疑我叫家辉. Then I'm from Ipoh. I known Juan Yao since when we are from Utah Kampa. We took a computer science course degree, and eventually now I'm working. My company is actually working on a safety grill balcony, where it is originally known as an invisible grill, where it protect children. We will do a lot of cable links at the balcony area or the window area for apartments and condo to prevent, to safeguard children from the risk of falling from high altitudes. So I've been doing this since 2017, 2018, and before that, I've been partnering with Juan Yao for the company Hatch, and eventually it become Kobe. Yeah. So yeah, that's all for my side. Yeah.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Adrian. It's so wonderful to have such amazing people in tonight's session, and we'll definitely love to hear more from both of you in the coming session and questions. So let me just quickly go through our audience and just ask if they would like to introduce themselves. Stephen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session organized by Justin Ng, and thank you to our invited speakers, Karl and also our very own Toastmaster, Adrian Gunn. So I thank all of you for attending. My name is Stephen, and I'm the president of Connaught Toastmasters Club. Okay, back to you, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. In fact, he's also my speech mentor. So let's move on to Steve Chai. Are you there, Steve Chai?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Steve here. I'm a member of Connaught Toastmasters. That's how I know Justin and Adrian and the others. I'm currently a consultant, management consultant, working for a Swedish government link company, providing solutions for Swedish companies to expand their business and grow their business in Southeast Asia. That's a little bit about myself. And thanks, back to you, Justin.
Thank you, Steve. Now let's move on to Justin Cole. Are you there, Justin Cole?
Yes, Justin calling from Justin. Hi, everyone. My name again is Justin Karl, and I'm a BIM modeler, just in case BIM in full name, which is Building Information Modeling. which is we are upgrading a 3D infrastructure model into a informative model. So I actually looking forward for this section because I do have an idea to open up my own BIM consultant firm for infrastructure area. So really looking forward, and back to you, Justina.
Thank you, Justin. This, in fact, is the right session for you because you get to ask all the questions you want in the latest session. Now let's move to the last person. Ashley, are you there?
Hi everyone. So hi Adrian, hi Karl.
Hello,
I'm
Ashley.
very looking forward to hear sharing from both of you. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashley. So for fellow Toastmasters, this is a golden opportunity. You get to kill two birds with one stone because not only you get to learn about interviewing skills, you get to learn about entrepreneurship. So please grab your notepads, please grab your pens and papers and write down whatever important juicy knowledge you get from this session, and be sure to ask as much questions as you can because this opportunities don't come by very easily. So please take full advantage of tonight's session. So let's just begin with a basic introduction to entrepreneurship. So let me just start off very casually with a very funny story. I first discovered entrepreneurship, in fact this word, as a kid when I first watched SpongeBob. So you guys know the show SpongeBob, right? So there was this one episode where SpongeBob and his best friend Patrick accidentally received a magazine about rich people in the mail. It was a magazine that showed people who had swimming pools and they were eating money for lunch. They were very envious and they asked Squidward about how these people got rich, and Squidward just said they're entrepreneurs. And turns out that SpongeBob and Patrick later on went on this very funny adventure selling chocolate bars door by door. So they were basically door by door salespersons. It was a very funny story to me, and I'm very curious. Let's just break the ice and just get to know one another more personally. So how did you guys get to know or discover entrepreneurship? We'll start with Adrian, perhaps.
To me, hi, thank you, Justin. So to me, entrepreneurship, I don't really think much about it, entrepreneurship. But if you, but in order to know more, I actually, when I think about entrepreneurs, I would think about Jack Ma. So I love to watch movie about it because Jack Ma is very vocal about entrepreneurship. He have a lot of advice to share to people, like trying to make business easier and what are the mindsets to have and doing like in doing business or creating your venture. So Jack Ma is not only doing business, but he had a vision. So it also reminds me that entrepreneur, we have to try. Not only it's not about the money. They would be more like a businessman rather than entrepreneur. So that's how I got this idea of entrepreneurship. It's mainly from, I think, Jack Ma.
All right, thank you, Adrian. What about you, Karl? What do you think?
What I think, entrepreneur, the main difference between entrepreneur and business, because to me, business is more like there's the empty land, there's an empty space, and you want to create wealth out of the things, the resources. You want to capitalize. You want to so primarily it will be you want to get rich and you create something, you develop something, and the value that you get will eventually get rich. That will be the main things. But entrepreneur is more like to me is it's more like your purpose, the value that you want to embark to yourself, to the people around you, because it also soft because in the past people focus in like profit taking,
I believe.
like as a main as their be something that like.
Oh, your voice is breaking. I think your video is.
Hello.
You were
Yes.
lagging just now.
I believe
better now?
it's better now. But would you like to repeat what you're about to say?
Yeah, like talk back to one of why I have a very great intense reason to go into entrepreneurial when all the people around me they would think that you got on loss. I mean, for that, I earned about 8,500 per month for a new first year executive in sales, and eventually from there I saw that the environment is toxic. There were a lot of politics, unnecessary politics. We are not working together to really develop the company. Rather, we more like a churning. Like we prey on the illiterates. We prey on we are guided to prey on illiterates. We prey on the olds, where this is something that I've been clashing within myself for the past for the first since the first month of my year in the bank. And eventually from there I thought, because before I go into this working environment, I thought where we used to have a big dreams, a very we study a lot, and in future we want to do a lot of benefit things to the environment, to the people around us. But eventually what the reality was, I end up as what become I sort of become, without me knowing, become one of the tools for the rich to prey on the weakest or the vulnerable, the poor. And from there, I stop. I feel like I don't find purpose in my work, and eventually I met John Yao and proposed him about, hey, what about we doing things that we might like, and doing the and to build real values, to build real cultures, because we are highly influenced from company like Google or Facebook, where they are like they have a good cultures. They seems not from like yeah. So is my video playing?
Actually, your
Well,
video is stuck.
Is it stuck,
don't-
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But don't worry about that.
Mm.
We can still hear you well. So do take your time to look into what's going on with the video. But thank you so much for sharing about that. A sense of
Yeah.
purpose is definitely one of the biggest drivers for many entrepreneurs today.
Yeah.
So just to
Because there are a lot of people who think that 顾好你自己，做好你的东西，养好你自己。But it's like, is it only the reason that we live on this earth? Especially when we don't really, we seems like a slave that we do everything just to survive every day, and we sacrifice our virtue, our value, our happiness in exchange for what seems to be our responsibility to the society. And even that so-called responsibility is something imposed by the rich or the people in power to so we are doing things that according to their way. Is it really something correct? We cannot question. So yeah.
I see.
This is what-
There is a term for this kind of lifestyle. It's called a rat race, and it's horrible living paycheck to paycheck. And when a lot of very wealthy people get power, a society becomes plutocratic. It means that the wealthiest control everything. So just to clarify definitions for our guests, I'll just quickly define the meaning of entrepreneurship so everyone would have a consensus. It's the activity of starting up a business or businesses to take on financial risks in hopes of profit. And believe it or not, this concept of starting businesses is not a modern day concept. It can go as far back as 20,000 years ago when trading first began. So imagine we were living in the Stone Ages where hunters and gatherers was hunting animals or foraging. and they found out that their relatives or their fellow tribesmen have something they wanted. What did they do? They barter trade. Eventually, people developed domestication and agriculture, setting the scene for commerce. This allowed tradespeople to sell items that others need for things themselves they can't create. This meant blacksmiths can create swords for farmers. Farmers can provide food for skilled workers. Barters and travelers could start trades, and it started the economy. It actually is the building blocks of the economy that runs on one concept: supply and demand. And now that's how I define entrepreneurship. It's something indispensable and intricate to human life and history. So this is very interesting because I would like to explain how is it today, how different it is today. Did you know that in 2020 there are around 582 million entrepreneurs worldwide today? That's 13% of the world's population. What's even more amazing is that more younger people and more women are starting businesses too. Half of all entrepreneurs are women. One of the most interesting things I've read is the Global Entrepreneurship Index. It's an index that shows the best countries to start businesses in, the best countries that can create jobs. And this is a very interesting tool to find out which country is the best to be an entrepreneurship in. So many analysts have found out that the top 5 countries to start businesses are the US, followed by Switzerland, Canada, Denmark, and the United Kingdom. But for Malaysia, we are ranked 43 out of 137 countries. And in fact, we have improved since 2018. We moved up 18 ranks in 2019. That's a great improvement. Now let's talk more about the Malaysians, specifically our guests. I'm very interested to hear about your stories and your experience being entrepreneurs. And I would like to first share mine, if I may. I want to share my first taste of entrepreneurship. It first began when a sociology professor in my college offered me an opportunity to work in a social enterprise. It was 2016 where I gotten the idea to create a food delivery platform that focused on healthy eating. It is the predecessors of what we see in Food Panda, what we see in Grab Foods, or what we see in Uber Eats today. My idea was to create a system where people can cook healthy meals for those people who work 9 to 5, or those who don't have the time to cook or just want to keep a healthy diet in general. I remember that when I first started, it was when Food Panda just started as well. So we began operations then, and it was an exciting 5 months that I learned how to build a team, how to make a website, and do marketing. Unfortunately, the idea didn't work at the end, and I decided to pursue my education again. However, I never regretted the experience because it taught me so many lessons. Now, I would like to shift the spotlight to our guest speakers and ask them what do they do. So, Adrian or Karl, who would like to start first?
I think I will go first. Yeah. So basically, I'm not someone who is born with an entrepreneurial traits, I would say. So my start of my journey of entrepreneurship is pretty accidental. So the story starts like this. I was working back in Intel, and one day my father actually requested me to come back to KL. Actually, because he's owning 4 cloth shops. I mean, like cloth shop business with 4 branches, and then he's trying to build an inventory software for himself so that the business run more efficiently. So I actually went back and tried to start develop this software for him, because I was a software engineer. I was passionate in building softwares and also problem solving. So when I see that there's a lot of operation problems there, and I really love to solve it. At the same time, then by the day, so Karl and I, like he said, so we were university friends. We were classmates. Actually, we are in the same course, the computer science course. And then he actually after uni time, we parted ways, and then he went to try on a lot of stuff, so including becoming a banker. So he got sick of doing the jobs. I mean, he wanted to do something, so he actually invited me to start a business together. And then we partnered with another friend of mine from Intel. So three of us actually have this idea of why don't we do the software that we can package it into something more general so that it can serve my father's need, and then we can sell it to the mass market. So then there we go. So we met up, we talked about it. So that's how we started the business. And then together, that's my journey with Karl.
Prior, actually, if you remember, Daniel, we did have like thoughts when we are from university where you say, hey, maybe we can do something like a virtual exchange room where you don't have to go to the shopping mall, and you can, like, let's say you want to buy something from online. During that time, we don't even have Shopee or Lazada yet, like about 10 years ago. Even have like, it is not mainstream, where we thought of, hey, how about we can have a sort of a changing area where it can scan the 3D version of you, and eventually of course you will have a 3D version of every of the clothes, and where you can mix and match. Means that you don't have to go to their area to change the thing. And even this is our prior ideas that we got fascinated by. But eventually we realized that even a much simple things that for our FIB, we can't even do that. But the ideas was like far beyond things that we can accomplish. But of course, if you ask me if we dare to think, we still dare to think, because if we cannot do now, doesn't mean that we cannot do tomorrow. So I like to have sort of from time to time have this kind of ideas. Pass back to you, Janya.
That's a very interesting point you pull out there. Having ideas that may seem impossible, or having ideas that, wow, it sounds like we could do that. I just want to quickly ask, how do you define an idea that you want to pursue, or an idea that maybe I should put this on hold and pursue later? How do you go about deciding which idea is the one I should be doing right now?
We did learn from the pain point where we failed during our entrepreneurial journey for the past when we was in Hatch. We failed terribly for the 3 to 4 years. We have been like fighting blindly, doing the thing blindly without even have a proper structure or directions. Then every three of us, we have our own different thinking that we never even understand each other. We never really want to do the thing. It's more like it's more like a homework that we assign ourselves, and we say, okay lah, never mind, we try to do it. But eventually, the thing failed. So the takeaway from can you repeat your questions again just now?
So what I was asking is,
yes,
sometimes we all have so many ideas.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So the very important things that we failed to do last time is that we failed to separate it. We do things purely from our point of view that we don't learn from the market. We will have our own thinking that we think like that. We thought that the world will change according to our way. That is totally not appropriate, because and there is things that we do learn that where we have to reduce our things that until one point that it is simple enough that people will understand, or people can easily adapt. There's no point having a so-called far-fetched idea or bombastic idea where it is totally something that people don't want, or people don't understand, or not willing or fearful to have changes. So we do learn from a very hard a real
lesson.
failure, a huge price to pay, where we have to do things step by step. Because entrepreneur is more like a leadership where you want to push something higher value, on the existing way of life, or especially now it is currently dominated by capitalism, where things are measured, whoever rich or whoever powerful represent the so-called value, which is I don't totally not agree with that. So eventually we have to let's say we have a grand idea that is level 5. One of the reasons I do my business, current business, it is actually construction. It is something that I never thought I would do. It is every day that I have to, last time I have to join the renovation work. I have to be the worker myself. I have to go under the sun. Like basically I have to do all the labor's job, because during the first time we can't even afford the workers. But to me, I thought there is a very down to the earth way to learn about the fundamental of value, fundamental of leadership. Because one of the problem with our world nowadays is that we always in the office, we are educated, but things that we learn or things that we thought we know is actually mostly from what the teacher tell us, or what our parents tell us, or what our friends tell us. But we didn't really, means that we live in an encapsulation. We didn't really live the life that have to get real touch of the plants, to have get our hands dirty, to maybe fix a pipe. We didn't get a real fundamental things. So we are brought up within an encapsulated environment where it really skewed our perspective to the world about value, about leadership, about the purpose of life.
Wow, that's a very strong point you brought up. Oftentimes we have been neglecting our connection to Mother Earth. We've not
Yes.
been doing a lot of hands-on stuff, and I could speak from experience as well. I've gone through the typical route of a bachelor's student. I do biomedical science, and most of my learning was actually done hands. I actually learned most or learned best when doing experiments by hand. So, for example, I was doing breast cancer research in Ireland, and I was getting my hands on the cell cultures. I was doing genetics tests. I was looking at why were they being cancerous? Why do they have this type of purpose? I learned so much in that 2 months of internship than 1 year of education, to be very honest. And when it comes down to my final year project, I did an asthma project. Same thing. I learned so much more than my entire degree. To be honest, I did learn a lot in my classroom, but I applied so much more when it comes to my lab experiments.
It's
And
more like a,
Yeah, Justin, I would like to. Okay, can I check in more about your original questions about the idea? How do we differentiate ideas?
oh yes, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So like yeah, I would like to add on like what Karl said. We actually went through a failure, a very big business failure, and I would say that very important thing to differentiate with an idea is what we call a product market fit. Which means when we try to do something, how do we assess the idea? We have to check whether the product can actually fit to what the market needs. So one of there are multiple reasons why our first business hash software failed. Multiple reasons. So one of it is that me, particular myself, was a bit shock sendiri, like what Karl mentioned, like do it as a hobby. When we were developing the product, so we was thinking that if I develop, like when I introduced my story of starting the business, it comes from an idea of the product. We didn't went out and say, hey, do anyone need this inventory software? We just assume. So if someone needs this, maybe the other people will need this. We didn't went out and do interviews. We didn't ask them, would you pay for it? All of this, we didn't do that. And that is a very dangerous thing. And like what Karl said, we actually, another fatal mistake that we made is we sit in the office. So when you lost touch with reality, you start to create things based on your own imagination. While imagination is good, but I think what is the most important words in the product market fit is the fit. So we have to have something that joins our imagination and the reality. So the market actually represents the reality. So
So
yeah,
there's a very big difference between I know about what I know about the people, about what they need, that and compared to there's a big difference that about whether we really understand the society, the environment, and the value that carries within. So this is something that most of us we know, and of course we know a lot because we learn a lot from school and the internet. It's very abundant out there. But did we really have the experience or understanding towards the change of the world? This is I think a much more crucial things that we have to really think about it when we live in this world at the present day.
Absolutely. I agree with both of you. Finding out if the market responds well to a product is definitely one of the most important things that every entrepreneur should be doing. Knowing if people's not gonna like it, I don't think we should focus on this. And yes, thank you guys, thank you both for sharing about that. And looking at market fit and doing market analysis, did you guys employ these tactics in your recent ventures?
yes. So I mean, to differentiate between like my first business, I mean, I have to share a little bit of stories as a context to compare these two ventures. So my first business failed for multiple reasons, and then Carl and I went on to found the second company. Our partners left back to his full-time job, and then we founded like Kobe Technology, which is mainly providing a mobile POS system. So this time we were more down to the earth. And previously,
Reduce the scope, Janya. We reduce the scope.
Yeah, we reduce
and
the
reduce
scope.
the complexity, and we listen more to the changes of the society.
Yes, that's pretty much the conclusion of it. Like back to the very key question just now, the idea. I think it's one thing to have an idea, and it's another thing is we have to have a strategy. When we say strategy, it means that there's a goal and there's a original point, which this is where we are. Sometimes we are so indulged in the where we want to go that we forget where we are. So like, can we do this? Do I have the resources to do it? Is this the right time to do it? Do I have the suitable teams? Sometimes when we're so indulged in the dreams or the imagination, we might forget about that. So this time in the Kobe Technology, we was more down to ground. So we try to sell rather than create our own softwares, our own products. We start to source products from China from different suppliers. We got a software like back to it's an international what do you call it, global. It's very connected globally. So we got our software from Europe. We got our hardware from China, and then we use it. We complete into the solution. And this time, I actually went rather than sitting in the office. I went to the food truck parks. I talked. I got a machine. I talked to each of the food truck, the owner, and say, hey, I have this solution. I think it might help your business. So since you're writing everything on by your hand, you're gonna be interested in this. So I talked to hundreds of them. I went, and there wasn't a lot. Sometimes people are interested, but they didn't buy. Some are they are interested, but they say, hey, I'm not going to pay for it. I don't see the value, and so on. So it's quite disappointing. But that's the part that there's also what we say I have to have this faith in this product. But then as I try to do this again and again, I start to get the hang out of it. I know actually there's a need in the market. So it's the problem lies in my sales pitch, and eventually people start to buy, and that's how I prove the product actually has a fit in the market. There was a hypothesis, and there was these steps to actually prove it before I actually invest a lot of money or time and everything into the idea. So that's how we actually learn from our past experience and solve whether I should go for this idea problem.
Wow, that's a very very cool story. So you started off by saying like, wow, there's a lot of factors that comes into ventures. It could be like capital, your time and your capacity, your money, your staffs and technology, everything. And sometimes you need to take a step back and just really need to find out, do people really want this? And you go to food truck salespeople and like tell them, hey, do you want this? It's so cool. I really enjoy hearing stories like this, and I'm sure you have a funny story of any encounter, right? Surely you must have one guy who's very unique or gave you a very unexpected answer. Do you have any of those funny stories?
Uh, I have some funny. I mean, what was it? Is my because I was an engineer. It's my first time being a salesperson. I'm not really good at doing sales, and in sales you get to meet all kinds of people. So I have this customer actually who scheduled a demo back to Shah Alam's. I actually drove all the way there. He wouldn't pick up my phones, and yeah, and then I was being, he asked me there. He confirmed the time, but when I went there, he just wasn't there.
I see. So eventually the person didn't show up at all?
Yeah, he didn't show up, but so I was disappointed. So I continued to went to like other food truck parks just to do more sales. And actually, eventually I found that he was there, and he didn't want to talk. Like he was like, he saw me and he was like, hiding. Until today, I didn't know why he did that.
Oh man, the nerves of some people. What about you, Karl? Do you have any funny stories on any pitch encounters that stood out?
I do have a funny story that is with a learning where like if you agree with me that actually the hardest customer or hardest people who try to give you a hard time, in fact, they will be one of the best customer you will ever had, where they will teach you. I mean, if sometimes they give you hard times because they have a high expectation to themselves and to you. As normally, this kind of people they are capable, but they are very, we call it picky, or they have a high standard that they will in Malay they call it cerewet, like cerewet. But eventually, this kind of people, if you're really able to meet their high standards, they are actually indeed they are intelligent and they are influential, where they can really benefit you. So not to be influenced by or to have a negative impression of the hard customer. Rather, we have a because one of the true things that the best thing I've learned through entrepreneurship, which I shared to Janya recently, is that is everyone can live with abundant resources. You and me, anyone, we can have like, let's say we are from good backgrounds, or we have lucky enough to have a good lucky to have good partners or resources. Anyone can have that kind of life, but there are not many people who can, in 华语讲的，在高峰点谁都可以 live, but not many people can live in 转折点. 转折点 means like from a bad state is how you're able to come out from the best thing. That is the things that require a lot of value and learning and leadership. So this 转折点 where I adopt it in most of my life, where every time I have a bad problems or there's a wall or barrier that I myself think that, oh, I think that, oh, this cannot be solved. But eventually there's another me to tell me that, oh, 每一个坏点都会有一个转折点. So where I do meet a lot of bad customer, or even we got a law or trademark suit from our competitors to purge other people, like to purge competitor in the market, where we face it at a positive, and we always there's one instance where I put flyers, because during that time we are defamed, we are labeled by the senior company that we are selling fake products, we are the fake company. And they actually trademark a name where like 隐形铁花, they trademark this name where it's as common as nasi lemak, where you trademark already, no other competitor can use nasi lemak to sell nasi lemak. You got what I mean, Justin?
Yeah, that's a very harsh way of cleaning the competitors.
This is
And
not a healthy competition. It's by
yeah,
purging, by using a competitive bad advantage. So during that time, we try to. There's one of the many instances. I would say some like simple one. I don't want to touch about trademark. The trademark is too complicated already and too long-winded. So a simple one will be, I out of a desperation, I have to, I myself have to go into condos to design my own flyer, print out the flyer, because we can't use the trademark name in the internet. So I'm forced to because I still have my workers to feed, or I have my own responsibility or to the company, or and this is was like the baby that I thought, hey, I don't think we should give up. So I put in flyer in different condos. But actually, condo do have their management where those higher end condo, they will have stricter rules where you are actually not allowed to go in the apartments or the condo. So I will go door by door, and eventually I got complaints that they will threaten to lodge police report, and they actually indeed to decide to blacklist our company, where we can no longer work in our renovation in this apartment or the condo. So far, you get me, right? So we blacklisted, and eventually it also include all the projects that we ongoing, that pending about. They asked us to give back the deposit that we had on the other customer within the same condo. So what I did was I think when it comes to 转折点, the turning point, it is very important to be grateful, appreciate, and respectful. Where we go into the to meet the managers of the management, where I do understand that, oh, this guy actually doing this work only because he also have to report the whole thing back to the workers, to all the residents who complain. Because that time, that case was a bit serious, where there was a lot of resident complain about the thing. It's not one or two, it's a lot, and it pressure the management, and of course management have to do work. So eventually I go there, I waited long. He purposely don't want to meet me, and I waited patiently, and I tried to meet him like 2-3 days. Like today I cannot meet him, so tomorrow I go there again, and like this like continues until he like feel like okay, maybe I should give him a chance since he seems to be sincere. Then he willing to talk to me. I said, never mind, I want to admit that this is our wrong to all the residents. So I write an apology letter, and to convince the residents that it is not the management fault, it is purely our fault, and we are willing to take all the responsibility. Not only that, eventually I know that this letter will be read by all the residents. Eventually I say that, please give us a chance to fulfill here, and if we will not, because the main primary intention is actually to get business from there. But and eventually this problems was out. I say that please give us a chance. We will not repeat these mistakes. And eventually, for whoever who are interested, I put a 20% discount code over there. Initially, something that is a problem, or this is something originated as a apology letter, it become also a marketing strategy, that and to continue to give value to the, of course we are forced to lower down. We already give them a discounted price. Out of the discounted price, we additionally give additional 20%. Basically, it's near to the cost, but we don't mind, because we want to compensate. Second, we want to solve the problem. And the third thing, we want to give value. And eventually, everyone was happy. Even until last month, we still get business from the condo apartment. So it is actually very, our living standard or our business or our life or even our investment depend on how many connections that we make in our life. So it is not good to burn bridges. So out of the bridges or connections that seems to be harmful or seems to be damaging, it is actually very important that how we are able to turn the thing around to become something valuable to both sides.
That's a very fantastic story, an example of taking misfortune and turning it into fortune, taking problems and making them opportunities. And I just want to take a step back and just ask
Yes.
you, how did you came about to realize this sort of concept or thinking about turning things around? Was there some kind of backstory that comes with this? No.
I don't really have this kind of thing. It's more like a instinctive things. But I do have a mom who always choose not to give up, where she will do whatever it takes to give us adequate because I was from a very poor family. So every day we have to like borrow money here and there and things like that. So my mom was someone who willing to work like few jobs and even like to learn things that she never thought she can learn or she never thought she can do. She was very willing, very open to survive. So from there, I did see a patterns of like doing the impossible if you're able to, if you're willing to believe it. So this is something that may be a clue to my life, maybe. Yeah, that's all.
Just like how Bear Grylls put it, improvise, adapt, and overcome. I
Yes.
totally agree with you, brother. What about you, Adrian? What do you think about the story?
Yeah, it was fantastic. So, yeah, you guys might wonder. There's a we Karl and I we actually started as course mate in uni, but he's now my mentor. He's my mentor in business. I would say a mentor in life too. So what's the reason? Because he's simply better than me and know much more than me in terms of business, entrepreneurs, and leadership in life. So I've learned a lot from him. Like from the story, I would say when I started business, I was egoistic. So because I was doing pretty well in school and and also in my first job, so I thought I should be good in entrepreneurship too. So however, however, after the first failure, I was, I was shit. I mean, I know where I sort of like, my confidence was hit, that took a hit. So, but that's when I started to learn. And from him, I see that, for example, the grit and the perseverance that is very important as we, during entrepreneurship, because it's a hard journey and things might, I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs. It's more, more than I would say a typical employment journey. So during the down, like what Karl said, is the, I think, the deciding moment, because like he said, during the high, everyone can do well, but during the storm, it really takes the attitude, to stay, to don't give up, and also to persevere and remember to like the gratitudes, and also remember to provide values. Because if you have all these values as a compass, you sort of will do the right thing during the tough times. It gives you reason to carry on. It also points you that like because for example in his case, why would he actually thought of having to give the discount voucher? It was because the leading values behind that. We have to continue to give values. We have to own up to our mistakes. We don't try to PR it and then package it and so on. And so somehow these actually values actually can be translated into strategies that we can apply in business. So yeah, I would say I'm grateful that I learned all this from him, and I'm also grateful that it works in the long term.
I see. So entrepreneurship taught you a lot of humility. That's fantastic. And
Yes.
I just want to quickly clarify. Was it that one failure that taught you humility, or was there a lot of different events that
A
taught
lot.
you humility?
A lot.
I would say is
Never
one
ending.
long winding road down to hell.
Never ending.
Yeah, it was because since I did well, I was living quite a smooth ride through my life. I was also doing things quite unconsciously. Then since my first failure, I couldn't take it because I was just not so accustomed. I thought I can to failures. My relationship with failures was bad, and as I took a hit, and I started to question myself. And then I was hope that I try to work hard and I see result very soon, but the result just won't show up. Not in terms of weeks or not in terms. It's years without results, and you slow when it happens to you, you start to get depressed because we were hopeful at the high, and then the things went bad. The reality went bad. Things doesn't go the way you think it would be. Then you start to lose a bit of hope, and as you go down, then you face despair. And eventually you run out of hope and you might just want to give it up of everything. But there's this saying that it's always darkest before the dawn, because once you have really nothing to lose, it's sort of, I would say it's I'm dying, but more specifically, my ego is dying. When my ego is dead, I get to know the real self, because since you have not much thing, you don't have to hold on to certain labels, certain accomplishments. You don't want to hold on to it. Then you started to learn, like in the real terms. So you can actually, you start to, how, since it's okay to fail, since I'm already basically a failure. Yes, I couldn't go worse, couldn't get worse.
Yeah.
And then that's what I think that's the basic law of nature, that why there's a turning point or an inflection point. Just like in share markets, why does the price bounce up? Because everyone who want to sell who willing to sell at the price or have already sold. So everyone left is there to buy. Just like everything that can fail have already failed. So you can only go bounce back as long as you survive, as long as you persevere and don't give up. Yeah, and that is basically what I learned. But yeah, from my mentor and my experience.
You're very blessed to have such an amazing mentor. And I just want to quickly ask you again, Adrian, what was your biggest lesson you learned in entrepreneurship, if it hasn't been said?
There are a lot of lessons. I would say, there are many virtues, but one of the key I want to say is proactivity. I think proactivity is one of the most the signature traits of entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs, they are just not passive. When they see a problem, they just want to solve it. They try to get a resource, they organize it to provide values and so on. So I would say proactivity, but I would want to add on something more to it, because proactivity in itself is not enough, because we can be proactive in doing harms. So I would say I would have to, so proactive and also provide values, because I would say what the reason that we exist is that we have a purpose or a mission. Without a purpose, then we have no reason to exist. So something, if we want to exist in the sustainably, I would say we have to provide values constantly. Yeah. So yeah, that's what basically I think two things that I learned in entrepreneurship. There are much more, but this is one of two of those. Yeah.
Don't worry, you will have all the time to talk about that later on. What about you, Karl?
About what? Can you repeat
your biggest lesson in entrepreneurship?
Biggest lessons. I think one thing. There are three things that the environment. At first I thought this Mother Nature was really cruel. Where we firstly we let go our schools and we became from our schools or our executive, like we used to work under a company. Is a very protected environment. When we go into the real world environment, it's like very cruel. The human very cruel. The all the environment. But one thing really taught me is is very important to keep trying, to learn from failure. Keep trying means keep taking risks, appropriate risks. Make sure the risk won't kill you. Learn about that you can only truly learn when you are not, when you can be appreciative and you can be respectful towards the people, towards the problems, or towards the society. So yeah, basically, it's very important to be open-minded here, and your heart is the things, because in order to have an entrepreneurial journey, I think the problem with a lot of let's say 90% failures that a lot of people try or eventually they stop trying, it's not because they are not intelligent enough. It is because we cannot handle the pressure, the ongoing pressure, the like that lasts for years. They cannot handle the risk of the failure, or the risk of rejection. They have a lot of fears, and they basically what difference between a person and a bunch of people, and a bunch, or you want to do the things solely by yourself, or you want to do the thing like leading a group of people to do the same thing. What the main difference is not on whether you are intelligent or not, because mostly we intelligent in our own point of view. It takes a lot of the wisdom, a lot of patience, a lot of time to think and feel more than you. Means that you have to think for your people, you have to feel for your people, and not only about their current state, it's about their past, current, and the future. So so if we are intelligent, me and Joanna used to be we think we are intelligent, but the more we think we are intelligent, in fact we are actually foolish. So intelligence doesn't solve the problem. It's more the humble, the humility, the respect, appreciation are the things that can solve problems beyond ourselves. Yeah.
That's a very nice way to put it. All in all, sometimes we have to have our mind and our soul in the right place to do things. And when we do things, we gotta think about our fellow brothers, our humanity, and the future that goes on. Sometimes what we need the most is actually empathy. So regarding intelligence part, I'd just like to quickly share there is a term called intelligence bias. It's where somebody thinks they're smart, but actually they are not. And this can be found in all kinds of situations. I would not go too much into that. And I like how you put it, because there is a quote that I always held in my mind. This quote I keep hearing from a lot of people. It's, even God send the fools to shame the wise. So if you think about it, it kind of put things in. But I would like to take a few minutes now to ask our audience what questions, what burning questions do you have for our guests? Ashley, Steven, Justin, and Steve. You may unmute yourself and may ask any questions you like, whether it be what their business is about, whether it be how did they go through a certain hardship, or anything at all. So I'll open the floor right now. Steven or Steve, anything? Going once. Hi, Steve. Steven.
Hi. Yes. Wow. I admire both of your sharing about your entrepreneurial journey and how you all face up to the challenges. Yes, I agree that sometimes challenges may present in various forms, and I can respect and admire the way how you handle the situation, especially when you say you handle the customers, in the condominium complex, how you all attempt to rebuild the relationship. And I think that's a very important characteristic of a truly successful entrepreneur. One is willing to be humble, to learn, and to also to build relationships so that it's a win-win situation for all. So I think you all handle it professionally, Maya. My question is, right now, what are your current challenges heading into the new year 2021? Has the pandemic affected your business in any way? Thanks. Anyone can answer.
I think John Yao will be excited to share about recently they have been working on e-commerce since the start of last year. So John Yao, you will share your e-commerce one?
I can briefly say, but I think your story will be even more inspiring. So I just show a short one. So pandemic hasn't. So actually, pandemic is to many people, pandemic is bad. So I would luckily, gratefully, I mean that actually is our business. We changed our way of doing business. So basically online. Um, so I think in the time of challenge, it requires more tasks, I mean more needs from from our soul rather than the intelligence. Because the things, what we used to do just wouldn't work anyway. So we have to be more agile, adaptive, and yeah. So we move on. So we transit from a more offline version to a online approach to market, or to, for example, usually we went to visit our customer in their store. Now we do a video call and so on. And also we started our e-commerce store, because when there's a crisis, there's also opportunity. Since the pandemic is there, people tends to shop more online. So we started an e-commerce store, and it's growing pretty rapidly. So I would say it's actually I'm doing that with Ashley. So yeah, so it's been she's doing it part-time, so it's going pretty well. So I think that's how in this crisis we can actually see the opportunity, and the most important thing is what we do about it. Yeah, and so Karl, I think, do you want to share about how how you had this, because pandemic has hit you too. So how you
actually pandemic is hit our the renovation and construction company hard. We reduced our business from around 70-80K revenue per month, now reduced to more than half, 30-40K per month. Until now we are merely surviving, but I'm okay with that, because now the major concern is not about our revenue, given that it's enough to secure or to support our team, my team. So it is not a major concern. In fact, we can sustain for another few years, with given that this pandemic doesn't really deteriorate at a very extreme manner. So the more concern now where it's like we slow down our job, slow down our growth, and to become more focused on safety centric of our people. So I always tell them, hey, just do slowly, and like more people now do more slowly, or business also get more slowly now, never mind. But eventually, actually, we have a lot of like projects, because last time we go until like 80 revenue, potentially go until 100K revenue, but eventually now we got a lot of requests from or private or government projects that it could up to, even we are negotiating with the rental queue company that to do this thing for his client base up to like 500K to 1 million. We do have a lot of inquiry, but now those big projects, they actually putting things on hold. But I think it is very important now not to scale up or to prosper or to survive. It's more important to survive and to learn and to grasp opportunity, to prepare for the opportunity when it comes. So, and eventually along the way, we did team up with to do the face shield. Last time, actually, this thing led by Juan team, that Juan do the face shield. He lead my company people. We create our own molds, and we sell. So more towards that one is more not 100% charity, but it's more like a 50-50. Part of it because we are forced to stop running for don't know few months due to the MCO, but yet we have to sustain our workers. So we do the thing, we sell online. We make the mold, we do the thing, we sell online, and eventually part of it enough to cover the salary. The rest actually to give as cheap as possible to the market. This was our main intention. Even we along the way, we let's say have extra, we donate the face shield to the hospital, like my hometown hospital in Ipoh. And eventually, next thing that the things that I do for my site, because Chanyao part e-commerce, if given there is a further deterioration of the COVID-19, I think it will do even better for e-commerce. But for my site, I'm not the e-commerce kind of people. Of course, I'm more marketing centric on using digital platform like Facebook, Google, but I'm not really that kind of selling products through Shopee or even website. So I thought of another way, which is and more fundamental way. I believe in fundamental. That's why I started this construction company, and so eventually now we are investing in agriculture, where I have been researching on vertical farming, and also the mushroom farming, and even now we have been investing on setting the mushroom plantation. We already set up the farm already. Now, I think in 1 month, it can start operate already. So just in case, if let's say this COVID-19 deteriorate further, I think my team can temporarily shift from construction to do agriculture in planting mushroom and things like that. But if let's say this thing okay, then the two separate team, one team for construction and another team for mushroom, they can work in parallel. Means they but in if let's say in the emergency, they can cover each other. Yeah.
I see. Stephen, thank you for that very good question. Do you have a follow-up question for our guest speakers?
Thank you very much for answering my question. One last question is, do you do like individual home renovation works, like waterproofing, repairing, repainting, or renovation?
Yeah. Actually, for the past 2 to 3 years, we have we focus on we don't make the money to become rich. We focus on we make the money to build values, and the values invest in more values. This is the fundamental why I want to start this company. So in fact, I don't even have a house, and I don't even have a car under my name. So basically, I apart from this company, I'm assetless. And second thing is that I separated this account, my company account, and my own account as a separate entity, where means that the company money doesn't belong to me. I only take salary, like a normal adequate salary. So but the thing of this thing is that we, for the past 2 years, we have been able to save up some money, which actually eventually this thing can help us not only to survive and also to invest in a lot of other things. Not only that, we did prepare ourselves because we have I'm a person who really, really emphasize in terms of learning. I don't learn when I need it. I learn much earlier before I need it. And I tell my people the same, where we have been working on researching on doing epoxy, that kind of the waterproofing solution that you say, because it's something that tally with the balcony and the toilet that we always do. And so yeah, we have been doing that. In fact, we already ordered stock since like last year. Even if things are pushed to the extreme, we can adapt and we can change. And because change, not because this is like driving a drifting car. I don't brake when they call it a pack one, a push a sharp turn only when you see it. No, it's more like you have to prepare much earlier before you even see it. So, and there's one story that I can share. I think this one story that I learned that I find it very important to my entrepreneur journey, is that is like maneuvering a ship in the sea. Maneuvering a ship in the sea, because there's a lot of people that tell me that, hey, maneuver ship harder or piloting the airplane harder. The things that I got back according to their expertise was, maneuvering a ship is much harder than maneuvering a plane. Because plane is already hard, but maneuvering ship is much harder. The main things, this thing is actually I learned from one of a TED video. So the main things that makes it so hard is because when you want to maneuver a ship, it's actually very unpredictable because there are much more factor that will be affecting the ship. When you want to, let's say, maneuver like to the right, it takes a very long time between your action and the feedback from the market when you're maneuvering the ship. And also there are a lot of other external factors. Even you maneuver, maybe it's still going straight because of the sea flow, where it is so hard to actually predict where you end, or maybe where your direction actually maybe deviated much earlier than, and you can't even feel the changes, and you can't even learn. Like let's say because we can easily learn a car or bicycle because it gives us an instant feedback. Even we don't ask, it gives us a very clear instant feedback. But for maneuvering a ship, it's not, the feedback is very noisy, very complicated, a lot of factors. You don't even know where it came from. And also the feedback was very, very slow. That's why it takes you a much harder toll to actually learn and adapt in a wide sea. That's why I can easily relate entrepreneur as maneuvering at the sea, where you it's very hard for you to maneuver, and it's very hard for you to learn, and you die already like Titanic. You don't understand why. Yeah, that kind of things. But that's why when you are maneuvering such a big body, such a fluctuate, uncertain body, it's very important to learn things very fast, learn things before it happens, foresee things before it happens, and be calm when the storm like to strike you, and have keep reminding yourself to be aware of yourself, your internal self, your mind, your feeling, your emotion, and aware of the changes of your team or your people, and aware of the market. This is something that maybe physically we don't really do a lot of physical job, but we do a lot of mental job where we face the mental pressure, and we think a lot of about the mental things, the direction, because we are living in a days present society that it's already very complicated. It's not like a primary state that when Mahathir just started to found an empty land like Malaysia. It's already much complicated that there's a lot of derivation on top on each other, many things on top. So of course the those who are at the top already very noisy. So it's very hard to determine and to learn, to adapt. So everything have to go back to the very fundamental way to adapt a very complicated environment. That's why very complicated environment doesn't take complicated ways to solve it. It's always take a very simple way to solve it. But in order to find the simple way, you have to be very aware of yeah, it always takes a simple solution to solve complicated problems. Yeah.
I
Thank you very
really
much. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. I really like Karl's analogy about being a captain of a ship, navigating through the rough seas of the unknown. It really paints the perfect picture of how business is. You're a captain who has to manage many different compartments: the engine, the food, the passengers, the logistics, the storage, and everything. While that, you have to mind the environment, which is, it could be windy, it could be treacherous, there could be other ships beside you, there could be pirates, who knows. It's such a great analogy, and I find that so fascinating. And it's great that you relate that to a dynamic environment, the dynamic society that we are in right now. So again, thank you, Karl, for that very
You're
good
welcome.
response. And Stephen, thank you for that amazing questions too. We'll also take one or two more questions from the audience. If Steve and Ashley, if you have any questions, And if you feel too shy to share them, you can always put it in the chat. I'll read them out. No worries whatsoever. Gosh, I felt goosebumps hearing Karl's story about the captain and the ship, because I used to like ship movies. I used to like captain movies. Like it could be Star Trek or it could be Pirates of the Caribbean, and seeing how the communication and all. And I would like to take a step back, going back to how you first talk about resolving issues, having to adapt. And I'm sure when you adapt to certain situations, you're gonna have conflicts. You're gonna have conflicts with your crew, and I'm sure there are many of those. And I would like to
A lot.
ask,
A lot.
how did you overcome those, or would there be any specific examples you'd like to share?
Joanna, you want to share first, or?
Okay, so maybe I can share a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would say, okay, now in my current company, I will consider myself a bit more self-employed because I'm only working solo compared to Karl. I think he can share more with the current examples, but I can share from my past experience with, working with Karl and also my previous partner. So three of us, when we first started, we was young, naive, and yeah, ambitious. So I know my another partner quite well because we was colleague, and I also know Karl quite well because we were not better, yeah, as compared to other partners. So but three of us actually we didn't spend a lot of time. We are not like someone growing up together, playing together, and so on. So when we start to work on the project, and conflict starts to come out because due to different perspectives, different belief perspectives, and also I will also notice that our background affects how we see things, how we perceive the world, and also our role. Like for example, a salesperson will think differently from even a marketing person, and also differently from a technical person. And to actually solve this, I think we have to learn how to take in other perspectives, be willing to change our position and our perspective, especially. But even before that, we have to have the humility to truly listen. So I think a lot of us, we actually hear something, but we don't truly listen. We don't listen to understand. Sometimes I myself made this mistake a lot. We listen to argue, we listen to counter, to refute and so on. So sometimes I think this actually comes from the ego, also the attitudes, because we think we are right. That's the problem. We think we are right but we cannot be. I think that we have to be aware of our own ignorance, because it's not a sin, but it can be a sin. But I was saying from we cannot know everything in this world. There's definitely something that we don't know, or we are definitely in this moment we are standing here. We only have one perspective, so it's always very important to be have the humility to listen to others, to give the benefit of doubts. Like maybe I don't agree, but can I actually stop myself and actually be willing to listen? Although I might think the idea was absurd, but can I have the humility to listen first and see what the other people have to say, to understand them, then before I make a judgment or make a conclusion. And this is I think why conflict happens, and also how to solve them. Yeah. And
we always have a lot of conflicts along the way, because there's a team of entrepreneur. I think you cannot do much by yourself. It takes a lot of learning and teaching, sharing, a lot of cooperation, work together. So we have to work together with a lot of different talents from different background diversity. So there's a saying Ma Yin say, he said, stupid people easily work together, but smart people very hard to work together, because they always have their own way of thinking that they cannot accept other people's way. So, but in order to fulfill a greater answer for all, actually everyone is important. Everyone contribute the way to the final answer. Just like you in Facebook, just like in a football match, you need a goalkeeper, you need a striker, you need a defender, you need a midfielder, even you need a referee, you need spectators. Everyone serve a purpose there. So I cannot say that because I am the striker, then the defender is not important. or I'm the coach, then my whole team depends on me. No, it's a very symbiosis um, relationship where we live in this world. We have to count on everyone, and everyone count on you. So that's why it's very important to be able to feel more than yourself, think more than yourself. So the more than yourself here means that it's not just you. You don't carry the final answer. It's actually everyone around you, including you, will have the answer, a greater answer. And even it is a greater answer, it is not a final answer. It is never a final answer. Because we can never do things that surpass the complexity of or the magnitude of the civilization or the planets. We are just very small. In fact, we are not really significant. So it makes me, when we think about that, we will really humble down. Even Juan Yao, we be more like a person who reflect each other. We started with conflicts, but we always ended with a resolution. We always give chance to listen, to learn, or to give chance to see what he has to say, no matter how uncomfortable it is, or no matter how like very gay one sometimes when we cry to each other or things like that. But logically, because we guys we want to be macho. You want to feel like manly. So but in order to really know a person, work together with a person, because like entrepreneurship is like a long-term partnership. To me, it is not much different from marrying a person. Of course, I know gay with him, but it's more like a family. So it takes not just logical negotiation to answer the questions. It takes a lot more. It's yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a very nice way that you use marriage to describe the partnerships that go on with entrepreneurship, because I believe like with a spouse or with a boyfriend or girlfriend, people argue all the time. It's about how they are able to make up, how they are able to accommodate, how they are able to understand one another. I think that was the most important part of any business partnership with anyone.
I wanted to add on something.
Yeah,
So
go
yeah,
ahead,
I think
Adrian.
like because when we only can have conflicts when there's multiple parties involved. So I think it's very crucial that the parties actually have a common goal or common vision in the long term. So
Agree.
as long as we are heading the same way, as long as we zoom out and see the big picture, I think sometimes we can really let go of the differences, in the short term, or different tactical decision or different perspective. Because I think it's more important that we have all of us have the willingness to go to the same place, to go the same direction. I think that's also very important things. Yeah. Beside the trust and everything, because having that enables the process to understand each other and also to build the trust behind.
I see. Like I would agree. It's all part of the journey. And I just want to quickly ask, do you think that conflicts are the hardest things in entrepreneurship, or is there something way harder than that?
I think okay. What makes the people is the people, and because entrepreneurship or you live your life or your journey is or everything you do, you cannot do things away from people. So people is actually I mean, what is the purpose if you start up a company without your partners, without your managers, without your employee, and what for you start your business or entrepreneur entity without the market, or what for you want to start an effort if you live by a cave just by yourself. So it's actually problem arise when there's a lot of people, and there's also a solution because of the people. So yes, I do agree that people things is actually the hardest, but yet it is actually the most fulfilling things. It's like, to me, it's like, from value point of view, it is very worth it, although it is very, very hard. So I don't believe in money can solve a lot of problems, but of course, money is actually the tools, but it's not the main thing. It's the main thing is the people's brain, the direction, the purpose, um, the talents. So I do heavily nurtured talents. I also as is a strong believer of last time I did share with John now, where I was born from poor family and I don't have any connections. And I don't give a damn about connections, to be frank. A lot of actually a lot of I do know about like some sort of powerful rich people, but I think them like equally, because like to like my customer in the bank, like in terms of the people who ask for loans and the people who put a lot of investment or FD deposits. I'm not an efficient guy. If I'm efficient, I can always scale up my sales numbers. That's why I was one of the hated person in the bank last time, where my boss always say, I hire you to earn for me, earn for a company. You don't give me numbers, this sort of thing. But that time, all the customer who came in, I treat them equally and I learn from them equally, because everyone, let's say the poor, they have their voice, or the people who defaulted their loans, they have their voice, or people who are rich, they have their voice. So from there, I put a equal manner, because this is what my mom taught me, that to be fair to everyone, try to be fair, try as best as you can to be fair to everyone. And eventually everyone became fair to me, because so my sales actually boom, not because I con on them. I refuse to use the way. My sales actually, for the first 8 months, I was there for 18 months. For the first 8 months, I was near to people firing me. Like my boss want to fire me because I give, like he said, you are fai chai, like you don't give numbers even after 6 to 8 months. So because I think I would not going to manipulate or force your way on my customers. I respect my customers. I treasure my customers, and and during the time when they was busy selling, I was busy asking them questions about their life. This is one of something very passionate. So I don't look like a salesperson, and eventually I got boycotted by my teams and even my employer. But my direct supervisor was good to me, was understanding to me. But eventually, somehow after the 8 months, the beginning of 9 months until before I left the company, eventually my sales spiked up like crazy, because there are a lot of rich or even medium people, even poor people, they come back to me, they want to support me. So I don't have to force them to do things that they are not willing, or manipulate them. As long as I'm true to my value and I'm true to them, they're true to me. There's something that I learned, that, oh, I got a final answer. During I leave the bank, I really, really sure, because I was offered higher position and higher salary, and better commission scheme, and better pool of customer. They want to increase, like push me to become the relationship manager, because I actually, there are a few high network people become my friends, good friends, but I said no, and I was very sure that it is time to get out from this environment, and to find a voice, or to find something that could really answer my life questions. I was full of questions last time. So sorry, what was your questions again? I tend to forget people's questions. What's your questions just now?
Oh, don't worry, don't worry. Like I was so
Yeah.
engrossed into your story. Well, To be honest, I was so engrossed that I forgot what was I asking.
Me too.
This is,
John, do you remember?
To be
John,
honest,
remember?
it
usually
doesn't
I
matter.
would remember, but I was also too engrossed into your story. I was moved by
Don't
that.
don't worry,
Oh,
guys. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, it was a good
I
story.
I think the story speaks for itself. How you spread your wings, that is more than a enough of a great story to tell. And regardless of what was the question, I think this story was enough to
thanks.
answer many. So we're
Uh,
approaching the final section. We don't have too much time left. So I'm gonna give my guest speakers a minute to catch their breath while I just give my audience a few fun facts. With 67.7% of the wealthiest people with net worths more than $30 million being they are all self-made millionaires. It does sound quite enticing to our audience, doesn't it? But is this statistic a reality or a presentation of survivalship bias? Faylori, a analytics firm, reported that every 100 startups, 90 would fail and 10 will go on to succeed, with one being a unicorn. These failure rates highly depend on the industry, with the highest failure rates dominating the information industry. Moreover, the longer that these businesses exist, the higher chance they fail. One of the most common reasons that startups fail is because the product does not fit the market. The company may have marketing issues or the team are going through internal affairs. I know there's a lot of information here, but let's take it one step at a time. It's just a free and easy question for both of you. What do you think is the reality of entrepreneurship, and what is the one biggest misconception there is, if you guys would like to share?
John, you start first.
Um, I don't really have a strong opinion on this, but I do notice that maybe in these eras, it's sort of like entrepreneur are becoming the cool things, and people wants to be entrepreneurs like for various reasons. And I used to, I subconsciously I remember when I was I used to watch a lot of Jack Ma's videos, and also like videos and inspiring videos from Elon Musk and so on. And to be honest, I'm not unlike Karl. I'm not someone who has a great dreams to change the world. So I would say it's more like a shock scenario things that it's cool to be an entrepreneur. It's cool to have your own company, to launch your own products. I would say it's a self-serving things. I would say that it's not worth it if you want to do it for a selfish reason. You want to you want to look cool. You just do it for for the label, and you just want to look great in front of others. I would say because you might realize that the price too big to pay.
It's not
For
really worth it.
the price is too big to
really worth
pay
it.
for performance. There's someone. I mean, I heard of terms online that they say performing to do business. You're not doing the business itself. You're trying to show, hey, I'm doing business at this co-working space. Trying to do this product, showing things, but you're not actually making any money and so on. So I would say that maybe a better before we start to do. I mean, like to decide to do an entrepreneurship, it's better that you have a vision in mind that includes more people, or you have maybe a problem to solve in mind. So although I would say I start business, like I don't have a much of a concept there, but I do have this inclination to solve problems. I'm an engineer. I love to solve problems. So it also, I would say that's part of the reason I'm still suitable for to be an entrepreneur, because I just want to solve business problem. Like for example, I'm selling POS system. I'm doing not bad because I just have this feel. I say, hey, why are you doing things in such an inefficient manner? So I have this thing for you, and you can improve your workflow. And basically, that's how I provide value. And then I think that's a better reason to start to go into entrepreneurship rather than to look cool or to be popular and so on. Yeah. Well, what about you, Karl?
Yeah, the one I think I have a slight disagreement with what Justin said about the statistics. I think the statistics is actually the entrepreneurship in US is actually far much more advanced compared to what we are having in Malaysia, and it's actually much more. Of course, they have a centric of abundant of talent and resources, and also there's a very fertile land for them to actually grow the seeds to become a big trees or big plants. But in Malaysia, it's actually is sort of a middle, just like you said, in terms of ranking, we are still at a middle level. And entrepreneurship actually has to align not only with what we entrepreneur think, have to align actually on average of the environment. So if let's say Elon Musk is something, or someone like Ma Yun come to Malaysia, if let's say there's a big difference between his perspective and the people, I mean the people who buy for their products or use their value, they might not be able to keep up, or they may not be willing to keep up. So this is of course, yes, we are not there yet. We are actually really not there yet. We are far behind, but far behind doesn't mean that that we should stop or not on to work on it. Actually, we have to start spreading things that to say that it is possible. Last time, one of the reasons I choose to stay in Malaysia is because I said Malaysia have a lot of problem. Because a lot of people say, hey, why not you go to Singapore, earn the three time currency? I said, if all the talent go to Singapore, earn 3 time currency, no one will stay in Malaysia to change Malaysia. So I think I have to fix my route here. I forgo the Singapore dream while seeing all my friends, they have their boyfriend, girlfriend, work in a cool environment. They are good, like cool company, cool background, like Google and this kind of big names, and they can go vacation for 1 year like many times. But we are sort of stranded within a small house, a small room to really have to keep realizing our mistakes. So it is not, but it is something that can do. And we just like I truly respect people like Fahmi Reza, and also like Huang Mingzi, because they are the people who they say it because it is right, not because it is political correct. And they are the people who start to move and tell people that, hey, we can change, and it is possible to change, and we should start to change. So if let's say there are a lot of people that we say everyone say cannot do, we can only do that, use our shortest path, mix with the rich people, mix with the abundant people, then we can learn from them, we can harness from them and things like that. I don't agree. Rather, because we say that we are the average 5 of ourselves, our environment. Yes, I do agree half, but I don't agree half is that there are a lot of people, because of this, they tend to only mix with rich and powerful or so-called abundant, which I don't agree, because they have no reason to help you, and they will look down on you, and they will make them your follower, his follower, make you or me become his follower, and we will become their tools. If let's say you have a voice in you, don't afraid of the hardship. Dare to speak up, dare to do what you think and what you feel, and not to use the 5 people around you, or not to get near to the 5 people you think they're very abundant. It's rather to create your own 5 people around you. Means you build 5 people around you, and these 5 people around you will build you even further. And this is the true relationship, the connection. Because last time we do business, is it depends on physical connections. But today, I think we already morphed to a way of life, or a way of even business or entrepreneur, where a simple connection or this kind of 表面的 connection already not meaningful. There's plenty outside. So it's like it start to form meaningful connections, meaningful people, and build meaningful institution and meaningful purpose. And that will really change. And in fact, this is a prevailing things because people are already smart enough to understand another people's intention. So let's say you want to find benefit from me, I'll find benefit from you, this kind of thing. People are already smart enough to know this is a very 表面的东西. So now actually people don't really like last time that they are out of work, they are in poverty, they always in hunger. People already now in Malaysia, I can dare to say that people have enough food to eat. Not much homeless people or really poverty people. Most of us. So we put钱, we put power, we put a lot of things, but we will trade a lot of happiness and self-understanding. This is a really great deal of problem that we are having now. We lack of understanding to ourselves and to the environment, and due to that, we lack of happiness, that we lack of purpose, and we are more like a small screw or small mechanism just to fit into a big machines, and we don't feel like human anymore. So in a very complicated IT world, technology world, we need a simple solution of like human to be human again, to embrace a future world of much greater technology.
That's a very beautiful way to say it. To make humans human again. Now we're gonna run short of time, so I'm just gonna give 3 questions, and please try to keep this within 2 minutes. They are very simple questions. So the first question is, who do you look up to and why? Perhaps we could start with Adrian.
In one mirror, I would say I look up to my mentor, because I think now, he was here. So like what you say, you know why I look up to him. It's hard to do. I mean, first of all, I think I wouldn't thought of things like that, and even I understand that it's really tough to do. So yeah. So how?
What about you, Karl?
What is your question again? Sorry, I tend to be very forgetful.
No worries. Who do you
Yeah.
look up to?
The person I look up to is people like H. Ledger, the person who died because of passion. The Joker last time. He's the
Yes.
only bad guy character who can win much better compared to the I don't know. I'm not sure about the Oscar things that he won. And I look up to people like Elon Musk, because he's not a people-oriented person. He's a really, really vision-oriented person. Because of his vision, that he able to it's a true level of leadership where he only focus on value. It's not focused on the people, like the influencing or the sort of like people relationship. So it's purely on like he did mention last time, I don't put advertisement. If I do my product good, then the people will go to me. So this is the things that, and he don't give a damn about how the world look at him. He only give a damn about he only emphasize about his purpose to as a leader of the humankind. And no doubt that he will be much more richer compared like today. I don't even he's really really rich. I don't think he is his main things. He don't care actually. Unlike like people like Jeff Bezos or even Ma Yun, I'm more like a people oriented person like Ma Yun, but I don't really think that they are really really that capable, because they don't carry a really significant um, direction that really really put our humanity to the front. And I do, in Malaysia level, I do inspired by people like Huang Mingzi, because I don't think he's a very smart person, very talented. No, he did a lot of bad videos, but he's someone who really really true to his own purpose and instinct, and he dared to speak up, even the whole world is opposing him in Malaysia. Like he spoke sensitive things, and I I do think that he see a lot of things deeper and he care a lot about the future of Malaysia. This is something that because I don't mind to become not to become anyone who are so-called riches or of anak Malaysia. Mind what do you call mind that if I change my environment, so this is something that I will change the people around me. I don't mind how much people that I change. I don't mind, but I mind if I never take the step to change. So this is why I started entrepreneur.
I see. And it's speaking of visions, let me quickly ask both of you, what do you want the future to be like? So
I'm actually not a particular someone who is very futuristic. So I do have some visions during my, for example, I'm more like a technology person, a product person. So I would say, for example, when I sell post system, I wish my vision would be like
Yes.
I hope all the business that are using, you know,
Hello.
paper and so on, those I would call it ancient technology or very manual work would enjoy the benefits of technology. That's how I look at things. And then but I'm also very into recently I was on the path of self-understanding, and I from a people perspective I hope that more people would be able to be more aware of themselves, to understand their emotions and what they want and where they want to go and so on. So my wish is that more people can actually realize and actualize themselves in terms of people in the world. Yeah.
I do think the same with Janya on this aspect. Yeah. So
and is it entirely the same, or do you have different visions of the future?
Janya, you finished your words already?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, Karl. Yeah, you can say, because I think I'm
Oh.
interested to hear from you, because as far as I know from Karl, he's a very futuristic guy. He always looks into the future, and he's the visionary, I would say. So yeah, I think you can share about what you think about the future.
I was grown up in a very oppressive environment, very not fertile environment, where I have to, it's like a desert that I have to fight my way up, like that I can no one to count onto except my mom. But even my mom is a very emotional person where I do learn from her courage, the persistence, never give up. But I can't really follow her as a leader in terms of my life direction or the people. So there's I wish that because they have many instances where I last time 27 years old, I have lost hope because I have high hope of this humanity. I have high hope of this country or the people around me, the environment. But what I got back is actually a lot of ignorance, a lot of selfish, a lot of arrogance, a lot of never-ending things that to prove that I should be like them. That where I'm, but that's why until a point where I nearly have committed to end my own life. And even there's I saw many instances where even I have an uncle who died during when we are working together during that like the construction and renovation, and it really damaged me in terms of whether I should go on with um, my so-called purpose. I was doubtful with my purpose. Where is it? If this purpose even will work or not, or there's a sort of things that I thought so ideally, and people got hurt, including myself and the people around me. But eventually, I got a lot of clues about me not ending my life, or even my uncle that I got a lot of inspiration or a lot of a small clue from the days where before his death, that there's a lot of signal that shows me that if you are born from a very hostile environment that make you potentially bad, or you want to hurt yourself, or you want to hurt other people, what about you become the savior, or you become someone who try to change so that they will be no more or lesser children like me and my uncle, that being, or even my mom, or my people around me, that become there's no more got like more child getting hurt. So that's one of my reason to continue with my renovation work, to do the safety grill, to prevent child from falling down. So it's like it's a constant reminder of a purpose why I'm living today. Because if no one believe it, then everyone tip off, everyone care their own things. I can't imagine what kind of future that we will have.
Yeah. I would like to chip in something, like share something that Karl have not mentioned and probably everyone here didn't know. Karl after Karl, like quit his job as a banker, so he came to KL. Actually, he was a teacher. He was a part-time tuition teacher. To a lot of he likes to he likes children and he likes to teach them things. And I think education is also a very key theme during our journey. And so Karl, do you want to share a bit more, on the
okay.
education part?
I for the past few years that when I was with Hatch, with this company with John Yao, we failed terribly, where I sort of that was the same time where I already gave up like 6 years or 5 years of my time doing something that failed. And the 5 to 6 years, I suppose able to live happily, like go to a company, mix with, like, have friends, have partners, have even like have child, marry, have a simple life. I gave up all that things for entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur is a very lonely journey. No one will understand you. No one will give a damn of what you do, what you did. They will only know when you already accomplish the thing, but they don't really care about the journey that you have been through, unless they know that this is a journey that they might able to get something from. That's why during that time, I because I'm different, I was rejected even more, and I was misunderstood even more, and eventually, and time wasted also. Eventually, I reached a suicidal point because I have a strong depression all this while, and I have a tripolar. So it really kept me going by what I've learned from my mom, and what I see my uncle, because my uncle had drugs last time because of the bad environment. So but he indeed is someone who really teach me or treat me well out of so many brothers that my father has. Even I think he care me more than my father care me. So from there, when I got the news that he died, and while working with me, or even I had, even that time had suicidal point, and I feel like I was a failure for trying to uphold something that too ideal or can't be. So along the way, during my suicidal point, I did I did have a phases of children that I've taught before. I saw phases of the children that they smile at me, they look at me. So there's a voice inside me saying that, "Oi, you already learned so much, because that's why you are so damaged. But now, because of damage, you want to have your life end. What a waste." Wow, because if you continue to live, not because of yourself, you live because of this greater purpose, of the people, because it's very wasteful for you to die a lot with all your learnings. That's why from that moment onwards, I feel like carrying on with teaching, carrying on with not giving up with my life. I carrying on with fighting my depression even harder. I'm carrying on to nurture people even more, to tell them this is possible.
Wow,
And
thank you.
For my uncle who died, he was used a child, like he was his real father mother, his adopted child. So his real father mother left him, and even my own family also. Last time the big brother, my eldest brother of my father, where we'll call him 死野种, 死野种. So out of environment there's no love, no acceptance, then he take drugs. That's why one of the reasons he died during the work is because of the drugs. That's why but eventually I got a dream of him that he smiled at me and said he's good now. And he's he tell me that carry on with the mission to prevent more children from being damaged. So the best solution is to teach, to educate, and to nurture more leaders to take care of the future younger generations.
Thank you, Karl. That was a very powerful message. I felt moved from hearing how things were growing up, things were really difficult, and the circumstances that were placed on you, they are very difficult. And I just want to say that what you did by sharing this is very powerful and very brave of you to do so. Thank you so much for really ending this session in a very, very, very important note. Before we officially end this, I would just want to double check with any of the guests. Do they have any more questions? And going once, going twice, no worries. Thank you to both Adrian Gan and Karl for joining this session. I'll stop the recording right now.